What is up, my people? Welcome back to another flight on the channel. Dre Sanchez, aka the Motivated Sim Pilot. Thank you for joining me. We are still here in wonderful Hawaii, and we are on Hilo International Airport, which is on the big island of Hawaii. Today we're heading to the island of Maui, which is an island that's essentially northwest of this location. We are flying this Twin Otter DHC, or Delta Hotel Charlie 6. We'll have some passengers on here. We're flying just for a general pickup route for other airlines with some bleed over passengers here, obviously. So we're going to get them in this little skybus situation, and we're going to get them on over to Kahului International Airport. I don't know if I'm saying these names right. I do need a lesson on pronunciation of all these Hawaiian terms. Again, I'm excited you guys are on board. Today's flying time is 50 minutes. Our goal is to do 2 legs, one from Hilo to Kahului, and then Kahului over back to Honolulu. So then the next day of flight that we do, potentially we'll be heading on to the eastern shores of China or the Philippines or Japan, whatever. I haven't decided which one it's going to be, but it'll be one of those. So anyway, no ATC. We're on the VATSIM network. I checked the scope. There's no pilots. So without further ado, let's get on board. Let's get in the back here, get the door button up. We'll assume that everyone, including yourself, is going to board this aircraft, and then along the way, if you want to provide some first officer services, we'll have you sitting up in the right seat in front. Otherwise, you'll be in the back of the cabin. Cruising altitude today is going to be about 12,000 feet, so we can make sure that we clear any terrain. And there's going to be a lot of hand flying. This is more of a, it's a less automated aircraft, that is for sure. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on board and do what we came to do. So as you can see here now, we are on the back of the aircraft, and you can see the orientation of the cabin here. So we've got 4 seats on the left side, and more over here. These are double seats on the right side, so it can fit a few passengers on here to get where we need to go. And it's also got the seat we're in here in the back. But in the meantime, let's not worry about all that. Let's come right over here and get this door coming up. Okie dokie, all secure here. Very slow moving process, but the door does look locked and secured. And now we can jump up to the front, and I'm on the captain's side here, and we'll go ahead and secure this door up as well. All right, so we have this door secured as well. Now what we can do, you see this flight control system is locked, and it's basically, once the pilots are done flying, you put this here, I guess, so the surfaces don't move while the aircraft is sitting on the ground, I'm assuming, and or theft, I'm assuming. It doesn't look like there's any specific locking mechanism other than it locking in place, so I don't know. I'm not the resident expert on that, so if you guys know the information to that locking situation and what it's truly used for, whether it's stabilizing the flight controls for wind while the aircraft is on the ramp or something else, let me know, because I for sure don't have all the intel, but maybe you guys do. So anyway, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and most certainly pull in the weather so that we know exactly what we're working with here. All right, let's go ahead and refresh it. Now if we come down here to the Hilo International Airport, you can see here that it's VFR, winds are calm, and there's some scattered clouds at about 6,000 feet. Visibility is 10 miles. Altimeter is 2996. So we will most certainly put that in right now. Let's put the altimeter in right now, and then we'll talk about which runway we're going to leave from. So we got to get rid of this situation by clicking that, and then back up, of course. And then we said the altimeter is 2996. Again, you're going to start seeing the analog of this. 29er, let's see, that would be about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so they're in increments of 2, so that's 2, 4, 6. So 2996 would essentially be right there. That's all squared away. And then of course we're going to look up top and we're going to get the fuel on. But if you orientate ourselves, you can see these are our prop levers. They're all the way forward. This is the power, which is going to be at idle, which will be controlled by my throttle stick. And this is our fuel, which we'll get to on before we start. But before we do that, let's actually, you know what, before we do that, let's let me orientate you guys to the airport so that you guys know everything that's happening in your life right now. So here we are on the ramp. Let me get this pulled in for your view and pleasure. Here we are, as you can see on the ramp. I am planning to take off runway 21, and I'm planning to do a left turn, which is fine, which is kind of like the missed approach. You do left turn, even though circling to land here is not authorized on this, which you could probably see that on another chart, but you are not allowed to circle to land here. So we'll just come off and do a nice left turn. We're not circling to land, we're actually turning to exit, so that's fine. So we'll take off here heading 210, and then we'll flip it around and we'll either go direct to our first waypoint or the next of Ocala, just depending on how I feel about flying the aircraft. So I'm probably going to get it up to altitude. Well, we can get it on course, and then I'll put it in the IAS climb, and then once it gets to altitude, we'll monitor that, and I'll, you know, reading these gauges analog is much different than reading the digital gauge that you normally see. Now let's take a look at the general route that we're taking. So again, this is just an overview of the route that we're taking. So we're here, we're going to come off essentially this way at 210. We're going to do a and it won't be that far off, it will be do a nice little left, come back over the water. We'll probably see the field to the left, and then here's the ITO VOR, which is Hilo. But I'm assuming by the time I get over the water, and if I want to hit a straight track, I can just do direct Ocala and there'll be no worries. And then as you see, we're going to skirt the northeastern side of the big island of Hawaii, cross over it up here in a little, if you will, panhandle, jump right over the pond here, and then we will go right into the arrival. And this arrival is basically set up for runway 2, which is the only ILS runway at the field. So hopefully winds are calm, or they're indicative of that runway. Otherwise, you know us guys, we're going to make it happen either way it goes. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell. So you can see our waypoints here. It's pretty simple flight. We've got ITO for the first VOR, then this is an airway, but essentially there's not much between the two, so we're just typing in Ocala. And this Victor 16 is another airway, but the other major point in the flight plan is up, and then Harpo, Camps 3, and then on over to the field, the destination. Again, I always forget the name of it, but it's Kahului. Yeah, Kahului. Oh well, you guys will hear me stumbling out over that all day. Do not mind me. So now we can, let me see, did I share everything with you guys? Let's see, we got the weather, we got the route. I can't think of anything else right. Oh, you know what? The flight plan. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. Shame on you guys for not reminding me. So here is the flight plan, just so you guys know. Again, today's flying time is right here, about 50 minutes in the air. We're going to burn about 543 pounds of fuel. Our alternate is Honolulu, which ironically that's where we're going to head right after that if this goes well. And we'll have about 3 hours of fuel on board. Flight plan is already filed. We're already on the VATSIM network. I'll show you that scope here in a second. And then of course you can see our waypoints right here. So this is what we'll be doing. Right now it's got us leaving runway 26. We're not doing that here. We're leaving runway 21. The winds are calm. I'm just going to use that runway and bust our left and get out of here. And then if you want to look at the scope, just so you know, there is nobody here, no ATC. So yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with right now, which is definitely no problem with me. So having said that, let's go up here, and we need to get our battery rolled on, and we'll get our DC master switch on. So now we should be seeing minimal things happen to the aircraft. While I'm thinking about it, let's put that runway heading in of 210. Okay, about right there should be copacetic. And then now we can, let's see, then we got that going on. Oh, let's put our fuel mixture all the way up to on. Okay, now let's jump up top for the rest. And now what we want to do is we need to get our position light on, our anti-collision light on. Generators will stay off. Here's our strobe lights. Pitot heat, we don't need any of that. So those two lights will be on until we get the generators on. I think we can go ahead and go for that now. Now, if we want to look for our amps, they're right here. Right now, they're on the battery. But once we get it on, DC volts are coming in through battery. Once we get the aircraft on and the generator on, then we'll start seeing the load as well from the generator that's coming across here. And you can see left generator, oil pressure, boost pump 1, aft pressure, boost pump 1 forward. So what that means is we have these boost pumps before we start that we have to come here. Now here is the aft boost pump, and here is the forward standby boost pump. That should essentially get rid of those on there. See, boost pump 1, aft pressure, boost pump forward pressure, left generator, pneumatic low pressure. Let's see, we've got these other boost pumps here as well. So let's turn, let's see, that's to off. So we want to keep these down essentially. So those ones are good. There's only 2 switches off in there, so we'll leave those on. So we should be good. Here's our fuel quantity. You can see we have right under 700 pounds of fuel in each tank. We are good to go there as well. All right. Now the battery is short-lived, so let's do this super quick. Let's get on our flight plan. Let's see here. We have to essentially come in here and delete this flight plan. PHTO. Oh, let's go back, and now we have to click this on essentially, and then we have to move here. ITO is the first waypoint, so let's come back over here. Try to do this quick so we don't run out of battery power. And let's see, Tango. I might even just do the first couple ones, and we'll get in the air and do the rest of them, I think is what we'll do, so that we don't kill the battery. Oops. This thing is different than normal. In this interface in this aircraft, you have to click it versus using the scroll wheel. And then the next one, of course, is going to be the Ocala. Or is it Olaka? Let's see here. It's Ocala. Okay, so I was right. Just wanted to double check. Switched right by it. Where is that Lima at? Lima, where are you? Gotta know your alphabet. Okay, Ocala. That is in Hawaii, and then from Ocala we're going up. No pun intended, or maybe there is a pun intended there. So we are going up, up, and away. Now, the last time I flew this aircraft was in the Caribbean islands, so this thing can get quite lifty. So with the flaps after up is Harpo, so we will hopefully manage that. Let's see, where are you at? This thing moves so easily. Okay, Harpo. All right. It's a slow process, but we're gonna get through it, folks, together, you and I, and the rest of the souls on board, whoever that may be. Okay, Harpo, Hawaii, boom. I'm telling you, it's a lot of stuff. And then finally, we can do our final destination, which is, well, not final, but our first destination here on this wonderful trip. Okay, that didn't go well at all. That's what I hate about this thing. You tap on it and it goes somewhere else, so you gotta just be patient with it. Definitely be patient with yourself. All right. It is not the funnest to program. All right. Kahului. There we go. All right, I'm always going to work on it. And then now we're going to do a procedure. we're going to select, and we'll just set everything up for the approach as well. But let's select a arrival first. Okay, select arrival, and it's the Camps 3. We want to take that from Harpo. Load that, and then now, of course, we can also perhaps load the approach as well. Let me see what the winds are doing in Kahului. International. The IKO is PHOG. Okay, and let's see here. The winds are pretty much out of the east. 50-degree variance from that, so I think we will take that too, especially since it's right in on the airport. So let's load a procedure once again, and we're going to come down here, and we actually need to do an approach. And let's hit enter, and we're going to do ILS 02. And we will do that actually from the initial point of camps, and we'll load that for now. We're not going to activate it, so it'll be loaded in here. It's got a hold there, so once we get to camps, essentially we will need to come down here and activate the approach, as you can see. And pretty much from camps it's a straight shot in, so there's not a whole lot going on there. So let's just keep this bad boy on Ocala. And actually, let me come here. I want to keep this, it's on GPS. That's a good thing. I do want to, let's see, it's got us going direct to PHTO, which is here, but we don't need that. It should switch as we start taxiing. Now let's go ahead and get these engines on, folks, before we get in trouble and run out of battery power or the ability to start the engines. So in order to start the engine, it's super simple. We're just gonna, we'll start the right engine first. We're gonna put that down. We got our boost pumps on. Let's see, we got our fuel mixture on. All right. So that didn't go as planned. Let's try this again, and that ignition, we need to do that with that. Let's see, we got our boost pumps on. She does not want to fire up for whatever reason. That's okay. Got the fuel on. We're on battery. Hopefully we didn't run out of juice. Let's see. Okay, those are on. Igniters. Maybe we should turn those both on. Let's check up top. Make sure we don't have any bleeds or anything on. Bleed air is off, right? Okay. Generator's off. Everything is off. I'm not quite understanding why we're not getting any contact, but we'll work through it. Let's go back. The only thing that's left to question is this. And so let's, it looks like this is the off position, but maybe here is the off position. So I bet you that's what it is. But look how deceiving that is. You know, they should have a line or something, but I think that's what the problem was. So we troubleshoot, then we try again. All right, so we got those on. And that's exactly what it was. All right, so if you are flying this aircraft, just know that this off, even though this looks like it's set, looks like this should go up higher, is actually on. So when it's clicked up, it's on. When it's not, it's off. And on this aircraft, there's only, even though there's, looks like there's 3 or 4 positions, rear forward test off and forward boost, that's what it is. Anyway, let's jump up top and get that generator on now that we got a stable engine. I'm gonna go down to reset first, and then back on. Alright, let's come over here now. Let's see. There we go. Right generator. There's the load, so that's good. Now let's come over here and do that for numero uno, or the second engine that we're starting, which is number 1. Alright. You can come out here and see that engine rotating. Let's see. Let's make sure we did get our... Yep, and we did. Let's get our no smoking and fasten seatbelt on. Let's arm those emergency lights, of course. Now let's check the engine status here. Okay, we're looking all stable there. So let's go up top now. And we're going to go reset and on. Bus ties normal. Let's just make sure. Okay, bus ties normal up. We don't want to mess with anything. We've got that on. Let's go ahead and turn our PHTO heat on, and let's get our taxi light on. You can see here, I'm starting to point at the screen like you guys can see me. You can see here, these are our flaps. We're going to just basically put it right there. Doesn't take much to get this aircraft off the ground, and then we're going to turn our bleeds on, of course. So now we have our bleeds on. We'll get our strobes and landing lights on once we get to the runway. But everything else up top looks good. And let's check our annunciator panel up here. We have nothing, so that's a good sign. And we have our generators on. Now we need to come down here, of course, and we need to put this on, which should already be there we go, on the it's already on where we need it to be for VFR. Now I'm just going to be clearly transparent. I do not remember how to actually put the different squawk code in there on this one. The good thing is we don't have to worry about it. Let's see if there's a way we can get this comms on. There we go. Now our comm panel is on. I'm sure there's a way this stuff is all tied in. Alright. So, let me just check this out and see what this is. Okay, ADF, frequency, set, reset. So this should be where we start our timer. Okay, let's reset it. Boom, that'll be where we start our timer when we get to the runway. And that's also used for DME stuff and timing ourselves, so that's good. Because the old school navigation does require you to know what you're doing when it comes to measuring speed and distance and time. So rate equals D times T. Alright, anyway, enough of the math lesson, but anyway, that stuff is used. Even though this aircraft is analog, it's still an aircraft that requires you to kind of know what you're doing a little bit, just slightly. Alright, so we are good to go. Flaps are down, taxi lights are on. Oh, let's set our altitude for 12,000. And honestly, I have this thing set for runway heading, but here's what we're going to do. I'm going to set it, I'm going to manually fly it. So let's say we come off here. We are going to be basically heading 210. We're going to do a left swing around. So I would say by the time we're over here, we at least want to put in a heading of, because you can see here, we're supposed to be tracking right here between, looks like that's about 310, 320. So I can set my heading for 310. That's what I'll do, folks, and the reason why that is, no matter what, that'll have me on the intercept course with the route there. So let's actually set that to 310. Alright. Hilo traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango here on the west ramps. We'll be taxiing the runway 21 via Charlie for departure out basically to the northwest for Hilo traffic. Alright, so we most certainly have that information all good to go. Let's see, I feel like we're sitting a little low here. Alright, now that I'm all adjusted, there's really nothing else to do except get out of here. Let me just double check one thing. Last time I did fly this, my Reality GTN was controlling it. Okay, it's not on. All the paranoia. Alright. Paranoia is real. Let's come down here. Parking brake is released. So essentially, these aircraft right here, we're going to swing all the way around. We want to make sure we don't kiss wings. Alright, more than enough room clearing that. This aircraft spot over here is empty, so we'll just go right around that just for being respectful. So a lot of hand flying today. So hope that goes well. Checking the taxiway. Nobody has indicated that they are in the airspace or even at this airport, so that's fine to me. In the air, I'll get some of these lights and stuff turned on in here. Alright, we are on Charlie. And we will be crossing this runway here shortly. Let me look up and see. I'll probably have to go up top and look at that. Let me go up top. Let's turn these lights up. There we go. Now we can see. I'll try that at home, folks. Alright, we're about to cross an active runway, so let's go ahead and get these strobes on really quick, as well as our landing lights. Hilo traffic number 350 Kilo Tango, continuing taxi on Charlie, crossing runway 826 for runway 21 for Hilo traffic. Alright, so we don't see anybody on final. We got our lights on across this runway. Alright, I think we're safely doing that. Okay, let's come up top, get the strobe back off, as well as our landing light. So this aircraft does not, it has lateral navigation, or nav, so it'll laterally keep us on course. It does not have vertical navigation at all. It has the VNAV feature on the GPS there, the GNS 530, but that's only for reference. It doesn't actually actuate the plane's ailerons or elevator trim or anything like that. That'll be all up to us. So we will be manually flying a lot of this route, or at least our ascent. And once we're on route, we'll let the aircraft take care of that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get out of here. Parking brake is set really quick. Let's jump back up top. And let's go ahead and get that strobe light back on, which we do. We have all these on. And boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Yeah, strobe lights are on. But over here, the down position is the on position. Go figure. And strobe lights are on. Let's get our landing lights back on. And we'll come outside really quick and just see how we look. We are officially ready to go. Strobes are on, of course. Landing lights are on. We are cooking with Crisco. Let's get us a little screenshot. One for the road. Alright, folks, parking brake is released. Hilo traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango, entering runway 21 for immediate departure with a turn out to the northwest for Hilo traffic. Okay. And if anybody responded or is here, then hopefully they're not taking off, because I should have told them that I'm turning left. So it's taking off south basically with the eastern turn, continuing on to a left turn for heading 310. Alright, let's get this out of our way. We are pretty much lined up. Takeoff power is set. Airspeed is alive. Coming up on 60 knots. And let's rotate. Alright, there is no landing gear, so we're just going to come off nice and smooth. Try to follow runway heading. Alright. Okay, flaps are getting ready to come up. Pick up some speed there. Going to continue our turn. Beautiful day for flying. And this by far is not a fast aircraft. That weather is updating. But this aircraft is going to get the job done, folks. Okay, we're just going to spin her around. We're just going to fly out over the water really quick. There is the field. Hilo traffic number 350 Kilo Tango clear. Runway 21 is now departing the airport area out to the east for Hilo traffic. Alright, we're continuing to climb. Here in a second we'll turn on course. And then we'll get the aircraft an IS climb to 12,000. And then we'll be good there. Just trying to let it pick up a little speed. Let's make sure these flaps are all the way up. Alright, let's go ahead and start a nice soft turn. Kind of get it somewhat orientated to where we want to be as we continue the climb. Pretty much right over the field. You can see that runway over there is where we took off. Alright, we can pretty much start straightening her up. And I'm also referencing our GPS over there, so the 310 heading was pretty much a good course. You can see over there we're pretty much on that line there. I can't really point it out right now to you because I am flying the aircraft. Alright. So at this point, it's safe to say we can put it in the heading mode for the time being. Actually, we can go autopilot, nav, IS climb. And the aircraft is doing a bit of a weird turn, so here's what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to go direct Ocala. Direct, activate that. Now the aircraft is going to spin back around to Ocala. It's going to continue its climb in the IAS mode. So I should have checked to make sure, we caught it really quick, but I should have checked to make sure that we were direct to Ocala first. I just activated the nav. I should have activated the heading. That's okay. Haven't flown this for a while. Alright, so let's look at this old analog altimeter. Right now we're at 5,200 climbing. Once this gets to the 1, that means we're essentially at 10,000 feet. As you can see, if we're at 500 feet, this piece will come in to recognize we're already 5. Once we get to this, once this piece here, this arm gets to the 1, that means we're at 10,000 feet. Then essentially we'll wait for the small needle to get right at the 2, and we'll be at our climb. So then we'll hit altitude. Because if it won't do it in this aircraft, because this is just the altitude alerter, but it doesn't do anything to hold the aircraft. You essentially need this another button to say ALT-S for altitude select. So we're continuing our nice slow climb at roughly 110 knots, which is okay. Flaps are up and clean. Landing gear is not retractable, so let's just continue to climb and monitor the aircraft systems. Once we get up to our cruising altitude, we will most certainly check out the weather information at the our destination airport, Kahului, and then if we got some time on board, we'll just put you in charge and do what we need to do. We'll use our VNav information as well to program our descent, which we'll check and see where we need to be on the arrival. This arrival doesn't necessarily have altitude restrictions or speed restrictions, so it's pretty simple. Alright, if you look at the vertical speed indicator, we're not pitching up that crazy right now, but we are still climbing, so that's okay with me. So we get to 10,000, we'll turn the landing lights off. Right now we can go up and actually turn those taxi lights off. Everything else up top looks good. Alright, at about 7,300 and something feet to go until we're at 10,000 where we get those lights off. We will be flying the whole time under the transition altitude, so we will pick up that altimeter once we get airborne or not airborne, to our cruising altitude, so that we can, or close to the cruising altitude. That way the aircraft doesn't have to make any adjustments. As a matter of fact, now we should just get that altimeter plugged in now while we're still climbing. That way there are no other adjustments to make. Alright, PHOG. Let's look at this weather together. Alright, so this is Kahului. So 80 knots, so that's about 60 degrees off from runway 2. Altimeter is 299.6 VFR, but we do have a few clouds at 2,500 feet scattered at basically 5,000 feet and also scattered at 6,000 feet. So not too bad. This is better for us because this will be, we should start having visual of the airport at this altitude. So if they're scattered or few, rather, that's great. So 299.6 and the winds are still out of the east. So it'll be a bit of a crosswind landing. So the good thing is our altimeter is already on 399.6. If I remember correctly. And it is 299.6. So no change there. That's a welcomed surprise. Let's go check our GPS. Alright, and on the GPS, we got about 10.6 nautical miles to Ocala. Then we'll be turning heading 278. So this is where we do our western turn. Right now we're basically headed northwest, but this is more of the western turn. It'll be 8 degrees shallow of directly due west. Alright, Harpo. So we got some cruising here. We got the field at about 112 nautical miles. Once we start reeling it in, this cumulatively should start going down as well. And as you can see, that's what's happening. Then of course we'll use our VNAV feature once we get up to our cruising altitude. Alright, so we're about 8,000, almost 300 feet climbing. I'm going to pull the prop conditioners back slightly. Make sure the aircraft like that. Let's take a peek at a quick health report here. Okay, this is right on borderline, so that's still an acceptable range. Alright, this is right at about 95%. Oil pressure is looking good. Oil temperature is still nice and cool. Here's our prop RPMs, right? Hovering probably right around 82%. A little bit less than, a little bit more than that, maybe 84. And this is our torque, of course. So right now, health report doesn't look too bad. At 9,000. Now we're getting a little bit of that cloud layer here. You can see the ground isn't as clear. A little dusting of clouds, if you will. Alright, moving right along. Okay, so we're climbing. Aircraft looks stable. We got about 2,100 to go. Let's go back here and just check out the wonderful view from the cabin. You can still see a little bit visibility of the ground there. So they're able to see the northeast side of the big island of Hawaii right now. Once we get a little bit more north of it, that's when we make our western turn heading 278. Alright. Going on the right side of the aircraft. And let's check it out where our ascent is, and we'll walk the cabin here in a minute. Alright, we're getting ready to come up on 10,600 climbing. And then we'll just have 1,000 to go. Then we'll look at some field information before we start cruising. Alright, we got about 1,000 to go. We should get a little light from the altitude alerter here in a second. And you see it just came on right here. That means we're within 1,000 feet. And the aircraft's got a pretty good climb still, even at this elevation, or this altitude. See how many minutes we have to make our turn. Getting ready to do it now. Alright, now we're direct up. About 500 to go to get to our 12,000. All right, we're going to want to come in here right now and be very specific to hit this Alt button. this will essentially stop our climb. Alright. There we go, folks. Aircraft is now going to pitch down slightly to catch that right where we hit the mark at, which is right at 12,000. So now we are essentially happy campers and at 12,000 feet. Now the aircraft will pick up a little bit speed, and then we'll see if we want to bring those prop levers back just a little bit to conserve fuel. While we're picking up some speed, let's go ahead and increase the range here. Alright, so you can see pushed out about 150 nautical miles. Here we are, so we got about 150 nautical miles until we get to where we need to be. We can reaffirm that by just looking at, and I'm probably off about the 150 nautical miles because obviously, let's see here, if you look at the cumulative, all of these numbers decrease, so really we're only 98.5 nautical miles from there. Alright, let's come back over here, check the speed out, of course. We pause the track IR and let's do something important first, which is looking at the arrival. Let's get all this figured out, then we can chillax. Okay, so we're coming on the Camps 3. This is going to tell us some altitudes we need to be at. Okay, so everything, so right now we are direct up. Okay, so here is our course path right now, and of course we're on heading 279 based off of where we're coming from, even though this says we'll be on track 294, but we're direct up. So coming from up to Harpo, then it's supposed to be on heading 295 if you look over here, even though it says 294, so that's only 1 degree disparity, which is fine. We'll get to Harpo, and then from Harpo we get to Camps, and you can see everything right here is leading saying we can descend to 3,000 feet at camp. So we're going to put into our VNAV alerter 3,000 for Camps and see where that goes. And you can see it's a right turn right onto the localizer for Honolulu, heading 24, and there's the localizer number 1101, so we'll make sure that's programmed in. So 3,000, and then we'll get the localizer information. Then of course, once we get to the field there, once we get to the field, we'll be coming on runway 2. Now, we are not going to use a gate, but maybe we'll come up close to a gate and kind of do a weird turn, drop them off. There's no aircraft there. It'll be a really quick turnaround, and then we're out of here. Back up in the sky, and then we'll have to plug in the information, which I already have the flight plan together for our next route, so that'll be that. And essentially, yeah, I actually want to check on something here. So it's got us leaving, I believe, on the Beach 4. I just want to make sure all this is not for turbocraft, which it's not. Okay, so we'll leave there. Boom, boom, boom. Back to Harpo, 8,100 feet above. So this one obviously has some turns. Like if we leave on runway 2, obviously, then we got some turns to do. So that'll be our initial, and the rest we'll figure out in the air so that we're not belaboring this. So now we can kind of see where we're at on track there. Let's get this out of here, and let's set up our VNAV quick. Look how beautiful this is, kind of coming right over this shelf. Which that's a good thing. We picked 12,000 feet, gives us plenty of altitude to cruise right over this nice little shelf here. And you can see the big island of Maui off over here. Alright, so let's go back over to our VNAV and let's get this thing crack-a-lackin'. So we are going to want to be at, let's see, we want to be 3,000 feet. And we want this at Camps. Okay, and then we want to descent about 1,800 feet per minute. So we got about 20 minutes to cruise right here. So here's 1,800 feet per minute descent. which is going to happen in about 19 minutes and 27 seconds. So let's keep that programmed in there. Now we should be able to simply cycle through our points here and make sure we're on. We don't necessarily need the map. Here we already have 110.1 programmed in, which is the Hilo, not the Hilo, but the Kahului VOR, so we're not even going to worry about that. So let's just keep it here on VNav so we know to hit our mark, and then we'll be manually descending the aircraft, of course. Alright, so let's check all of our engine health out, and we might just leave everything right where it's at. Yeah, and I think we'll just leave everything right there, right where it's at. So let's go ahead now and walk the cabin, and then let's get a quick GoPro view here. I got a GoPro view set up for you guys right here. Kind of a nice view to have. Showing right off the tip of the aircraft. Gosh, got the windshield wiper in the way, but what are we going to do? It's very quiet around here, very peaceful, very majestic. Look at that big little canyon situation going down here. That's pretty cool. You see you got some more little divots in here on the island, which is pretty cool. Let's come back over here and see if we can look down into these little divots here. Mother Nature is amazing. Alright, meantime, let's go ahead and go to the back so we can go ahead and walk the cabin. So we're going to spin ourselves around. And let's slide ourselves over. Now we can slowly walk through the cabin here. All right. Can't see too much there. Let's continue walking. And let's take a look over here. There we go. Perhaps we'll leave our little view right here for now. Not a bad view at all. Alright. It's from the right side, they get to see the water. Here is the left side. And then again, we've walked the cabin and decided to bombard a passenger seat right here. Well, look at that view, guys. So I think I'm going to chill right here for now. I think I may even leave you guys in charge. This is a really nice view that I think I want to look at that. So guess what? Good thing I have a first officer on board, and I think you guys are up for the task. Let's take a look here and see how much we have to go to descend. Let me just make sure we did get our landing lights off. Okay, landing lights are off. I know we got the taxi lights off. Taxi light is off. Anyway, you guys are going to be in charge for a minute. So we got about 15 minutes until descent. I don't know about you, but that thing looks like it's going much slower than a regular second. Anyway, I guess we will trust in that piece of equipment. Alright, so in the meantime, let's go ahead and switch you guys over here to the first officer side, because I'm going to leave you guys in charge. Boy, look at that little shoreline there. It's beautiful. Alright, and again, we've got about 14 minutes and 36 seconds. So let's give you guys a nice little view. And I know I'm probably blocking the clock right now, so I'm going to get out of your guys' hair. So you guys are in charge for a few minutes. It's your aircraft. I'm going to go back to that scenic view in the back seat. You guys hold it down for a second, and before you know it, it's going to be time to descend. So take the controls, first officer, and handle it, and I'll be back. I'm going to go back, kick my feet up, and conduct behavior that no captain should do, but that's the beautiful thing about a sim world. So we'll talk to you guys in a second. For now, you're in charge. Alright, captains, first officers, we are back in the cockpit from the back, ready to go. You see, we don't have actually that much time at all left. So what we're going to do now is square up our heading, because a lot of this we're going to fly manually on the descent. So the heading is kind of almost right where it should be. So we'll get that heading squared up. Because this aircraft most certainly does not like it when you try to use anything pitch, it'll disconnect the autopilot, so we essentially have to do it ourselves. Alright, and descend to target. So we're going to do that now, and we're going to come over here to the flight plan, and we essentially we don't want to do that, but let's push that in, and we essentially need to come back. Oh, you know what, we do it, I believe we do this from the VNav page. Alright, here, let's get back on this flight plan. I believe it's a small one. Let's go back over here. There we go, because I need to be able to see what my headings are going to be. So that's 10 nautical miles. Alright, let's go ahead and start our descent. Autopilot is off. So now we're essentially going to pitch down here. Just bring some speed back. And so that I don't have to do too much pitching down, I'm actually just using the pitch. See, every time I hit the pitch, it lights up over here. So now I'm going to trim it up. Let's keep the aircraft on course. So essentially now I'm going to be probably hand flying it pretty much the rest of the way. continue to do this, and we need to get those landing lights on now. There we go. It's always a little harder when it's bumping around like that. Alright, we're nosing down a little bit more to make up for lost time. Let's go ahead and see if we can also work this. Go down to about 3,000. There we go. Kind of a tumultuous descent here because of this chop, but if you look here, we're still pretty much on course, and we'll get ready to do our right turn. Pretty much VFR conditions the whole way, so we're okay. Again, this is the excitement that we knew we would be partaking in today. All right, let's come here and actually get that range better. So we're still pretty high, but we're going to continue bringing the aircraft all the way down. There we go, that air smoothed out. 6,000 feet, and we're getting ready to start our turn here in a second. Watch our speed over here. As always, we forgot to start the timer, even though we indicated that we would. Go figure. Alright, so if we want to know what heading we need to turn next, just hit flight plan and PHOG. We need to be on heading basically 25, which is going to be no problem. Let's come down here quick. Alright, let's go ahead and turn to that heading. Got about 1,000 feet to go, so let's pitch up a little bit. Oh, we almost oversped. All right, pretty much turning on course here. Pitching the aircraft up now. We are almost right at that 3,000. Super bumpy. All right, right under 3,000. I'm just pitching the nose up. We basically should be flying level now. Let's pitch up a little bit. All right, it's going to watch that speed, And let's see here, PHOG approach, runway 2. See if we can get a visual. Trying to get ourselves back on track. Alright, at Tebs, our next waypoint, we should be at 2,400 feet. So it's time to pitch down, of course. Just trying to square up that heading for a good visual reference. All right. All right, pretty much on course right here. Now what we want to do is come up here and get these to full. Alright folks, so we are heading into the, I can see the runway. If you look out here in the distance, there is a small white light. Hopefully you guys can see that. Touchdown elevation is only 54 feet. So we're doing good thus far on the approach. It's a bumpy one. Should be a crosswind landing here. Alright, almost to Tebs. Almost to that 34 or that 2,400 feet mark. And that's essentially where you're supposed to get the glide slope, but we're not doing any glide slope. We're manually taking it in. Alright, and we are to Tebs, and we are right at 2,400 feet. If you look here, we're right on course. Basically, we're just a little bit left of line, but I have a visual of the runway. So now at this point, we'll just smoke it in there and deploy some flaps once we get closer. So far, a nice stable approach. Got a smudge on my glasses. But we'll just have to stay with the smudge. See if I can get it out. Alright. So far, pretty stable. A lot of hand flying today, which is kind of fun. It's different. Really got to figure out how to use your pitch and all that good stuff appropriately. Alright, we're right at about 2,000 feet. 2,000 feet. We're right about at 2,000 feet, I should say. Pretty much on course. Alright, I'm starting to pull the power back. Bring the power up slightly. See, she's getting real floaty. Which we have plenty of runway, so we don't need to really go super hard on the flaps. Now this is about as floaty as I want her to be. So we've pretty much been flying this aircraft all the way on descent manually. Alright, landing lights are on. Flaps are pretty much to where they're going to go. Right at about 80 knots. About 1,200 feet above. Alright, we're at that mark where we need to go ahead and start dropping about to 1,000 feet here. Honolulu traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango, final approach, short final at that, for runway 02 left, full stop for Honolulu traffic. Honolulu traffic, I should say. Alright. Pulling back that power slightly. Alright, nice little approach speed. I think she'll touch down nicely at this setting. We are on the glide slope. Right at about 70 knots or so. Plenty of runway. You can see the terminal area off to the left. That's where we're going to disembark these passengers. We'll have to get them close enough to a gate where they can get services out, but essentially that's the plan. Alright, almost right at stall speed. She's super floaty, so we got to be careful. Alright. We are down. She's wanting to pull to the right, which is probably a sim problem. Alright, let's get rid of some of that drag so we can make for a nice taxi. So I'm bringing the flaps all the way up. That way we can go ahead and make this taxiway. So we landed as really super floaty as we hit the deck. But we came in, you know, and it's just have to get the feel of the aircraft on those flaps. That's the one thing about flying these ones, man. You really get to get intimate with the aircraft in terms of how it feels. This one gets super floaty on approach, but it's supposed to, so it can land on those short fields and take off on the short fields as well, since rotation speed is really very good. Honolulu traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango, clear runway 02 on Foxtrot, short Alpha, using Alpha to taxi to ramp for Honolulu traffic. Alright, looks like we should hit the gate this way. Oh, we could have came in that way over there as well. Alright folks, so we need to get our strobes off, of course. And our landing lights. Alright, landing lights are off. Strobe is off. Alright, let's taxi this bad boy on in. Alright. we are just going to go ahead and turn on into this terminal area. And there's no aircraft here. There's not one planned for this gate. So essentially we are going to come here and just turn around to let the passengers out. Alright. Super quick turnaround, been authorized by the ramp control. Which is me. Alright, but you still want to line up here on the tip of this. Gotta stay far enough away from the gate. Alright, we can go down here. Parking brake is set. Let's go ahead and go up top and get those landing lights off. I'm sorry, the taxi light off. I guess it was off. Taxi light is off now. Strobe is off. Now we can turn our generators off. Generators are off. And let's shut the aircraft engines down. All right. All right. Let's see what we've got left. We should make sure that cuts all the way off. And let's look at the... There we go. We have that off. Now we can essentially turn our anti-collision light off, and let's go back and get these doors opened up, of course, because we're just basically disembarking the passengers. So that's what we're gonna do. So in order to do that, I guess we've got to get me out of this seat in which we transferred up here, and we got to get ourselves all the way to the back. So let's do that expeditiously. Alright, now we can get this door open. Alright. You guys didn't even know we're the official door monitors, but we are. So now the passengers... Oh, let's stand up a little bit taller. There we go. So everybody's standing. Now the passengers can most certainly get off. And here's where we are on the ramp, and we are going to be doing a quick turnaround here, folks. So without further ado, let's check out the replay. By the time that is done, the actual passengers will have disembarked by then, folks. All right, welcome back, first officers, captains, whatever title you want to give yourself. We most certainly are ready to depart. Passengers are most certainly getting on board, and we can jump right here in the back door and get out of here, because now we are on our way to Honolulu. So let's go ahead and button this aircraft up like we do. All right, Doris coming up. Okay, nice and secure. Back up to the front. Captain's door was closed, so there are no other doors open. Let's get the battery to on and get the DC power on, of course, and we will get the rest going on in here. Let's go ahead and turn on our boost pumps. That way we don't forget this, as well as, you know what, we should have turned this transponder to standby before, but we didn't. We were so pumped up to get in. Now we need to turn our position and anti-collision light on, taxi, everything else is off. We'll get our PHTO heat on once we start the aircraft. Generators are on off. Let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go down here. We verify parking brake is set, and let's throw in our flight plan super quick. For brevity, we're just going to go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and menu. Let's go flight plan, menu, and we're going to delete the flight plan. Now we're going to put this in here, of course, and element OP, back to the slow process again. I think we'll get it a little bit faster this time, a little bit more familiar. And there is Kahului, so glad I don't have to say that name anymore. We'll accept that. Now we're going to do a procedure. We're going to be doing a departure, enter. We're doing the beach 4, and we're doing runway 2 because the winds are the same. And then let's see, our transition this time is going to be Lima, November, Yankee. So we'll load that, and then we go right into, let's see here. What did that just do? Why is fog way down here and not up there? Let's see, let's clear that out. Runway 2, da-da-da. I'm not understanding why fog. Oh, you know why? I see what it did. So essentially we just need to, here's a little trick. When it does that, come down to the next point here, and then essentially we're just going to type in the next one, which is Honolulu. Sure is going to be nice when we do this in an aircraft that you don't have to use this click situation. Now we're looking for November. And then Lima. Make sure we got the small one going on here, otherwise we'll be in trouble. Honolulu, enter, accept. Now we can come back up to here, and we can delete this one essentially. So you're going to come here, and to see, delete approach, delete flight plan, invert, save, activate, leg. I essentially want to delete this one, so let's see if we can come here. Did we clear that? Okay, remove waypoint, enter yes. There we go. So now we can do our procedure that we wanted to do. So now we want to select an arrival, and that arrival is, I believe, the Joule 5. And let me just double check that on our flight plan. Here, let me just bring this in. Since I showed you the last one, we'll show you this one as well. Here's our overall route: southwest, west, northwest, basically. Traveling and flying time is 49 minutes. Fuel on board, we need at least 1522, so we may have to increase our fuel stores. We'll look at that. That should at least be 750 pounds per tank, which we probably don't have that. But we'll see. The route is only 512, so I think we might get brave and don't use any fuel, because we're gonna hit it one time. Even if we have 1,000 pounds on board, we're gonna be okay. So this is the flight plan, and if you come in here and scroll down, it is the Joules 5, as you can see. So let's throw in the Joules 5. I have no clue what runway it is or anything yet. We're gonna enter that, and then our waypoint for transition is the LNY VOR, and load that. So now let's look and see what type of flight plan that we have here. Okay, clear that intersection beach. Okay, on to LNY. So only got about 160 nautical miles to go. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Let's get out of there. Then we'll come all the way back up, because then we can decide to go for wherever. So we're essentially going to take off on runway 2, come this way, and then turn all the way around. So we may be able even to fly this thing with the nav and just do an IS climb, because after that beach is, let's declutter some of this. Okay, we're going to come back around and let's see where beach is at. They're all kind of cluttered in, so we know this is our general heading, which is basically a southern heading here. Once we get out, let's go look at our main points here. Beach, we're doing south 196, which will essentially bring us down. Then here we start going west at LNY, and we keep a western route, so we can essentially think we're going to do our turn from heading 22. So let's overshoot 196 slightly by putting that in here. So we want to take 196 and we'll go this way. 150 south, 180, so we'll do about right here, in case we just want to use that to intercept the course once again. No big deal. And then finally, let me let you guys take a look at where we're at on the field, the taxi, and then get out of here, so we don't belabor this. Okay, here we are on the field. Simple taxis. We're going to take Alpha all the way to Charlie, hit it, take off, and then we'll essentially do a right turn to get on course. And then of course, if you want to, of course on course, if you guys want to go ahead and look at the standard instrument departure here, it's reflecting the same thing. So we're essentially going to take off on the runway 2, heading 24 this way. Then we're going to whip right back around, get on course, direct to beach. This is 14.9 nautical miles until we get here. Then from beach, we go ahead and do a hook boogie to the right on course, 270, or it's about like 272, and we head to LNY. So however we manage the aircraft, wherever we want to go direct, we'll try to go direct to beach, obviously, if we haven't overshot it. If not, we'll go to LNY, because again, a lot of hand flying. And the only thing I need to do now on the VATSIM network real quick is to file a flight plan. So I'm doing that here. I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. So we are going from PHOG to PHNL, and PHNL is also going to be the place we go. This time we are not going to 10,000 feet. I mean to 12,000. We're going to do 10,000. That's all we need. And then it is the beach. Let's see. Normally I cut and paste, but it's such a small route that I am not scared to do that. Beach 4 is what it is. And then we're going LNY. And then from LNY is to Jewel 5. That is our route. Slant Lima is what we have for information on board. Let's double check it out again. Kahului, whatever the name is. Honolulu as the alternate, which actually we should just put PHOG back in. Essentially, we probably don't have enough fuel for that. Here's our departure time. Zulu time, of course, 48 minutes in the air, if I can remember that correctly. 49. And the rest is good. About 3 hours of fuel on board, which is not accurate. We'll say we've got about 215 on board. And the rest is good, so let's go ahead and file that. Flight plan has been filed, and let's go ahead and start the aircraft up now. That way we can get this day done with. So then our next trip, which I'm excited about, is definitely continue our journey east, or I'm sorry, west to the shores of Asia or the Philippines or Japan, like we talked about. Anyway, without further ado, let's get our fuel all the way on. And let's just double check here. Boost pumps are on. Back up top we go, just to double check. Anti-collision, da-da-da's on. Let's get the no smoking seatbelt situation on, and we're gonna go for start now that we know what we're doing. We're definitely good on fuel. Alright, let's go up and turn this generator on. Alright, that generator is on effectively. All right. Engines come up pretty quick to reset for the generator and then back on. Now we have both generators on. Let's get the flaps down. Takeoff, we're good. Bleeds are on. Let's reset those. And let's see, taxi light's off. Taxi light is on. And I believe we're good to go. Let's turn that lighting on. Emergency lights are still armed. Strobe lights are off. We'll get those on here in a second. And I believe we're good to go, folks. Honolulu traffic number 350 Kilo Tango to terminal area will be taxiing to runway 02 for departure on the beach for taxiing via Alpha for Honolulu traffic. All right. Let's
traffic, land 41, 5 miles from the at 7 pounds for the island, and landing about 10 minutes.
all right. Okay, this is aircraft over 350 Kilo Tango at the field. We'll keep an eye for you in approach, but we should be out of the field by then. If not, we'll wait for you to land for 350 Kilo Tango for Kahului traffic. Okay, roger that, and thanks for the advisement for 350 Kilo Tango. Alright. So. Alright. For some reason she's bogging down here. Why she keeps stopping. Let's see, parking brake is released now. Alright, I see what's going on. For whatever reason, this thing must have started with the reversers on, which we didn't even use reversers. Sim problems, whatever. Alright, we are on Alpha. We're essentially going to take this to runway 2. Like I said, that was strange. We didn't even use reversers nor touch the key. So we're taking this all the way to Charlie. For immediate takeoff. Remember, rotation speed's right under 80 knots. This thing gets up to speed and takes off fairly quick. Alright, there's Delta. Alright, so let's pull back on the power slightly. Let's slow her up just a little bit. That way I can come up top, and let's go ahead and get that strobe on. And our landing lights. There we go. And here is Charlie. Remember, our turn is to the right. We got to get up to 1,400 feet though first. Honolulu traffic, November 350 Kilo Tango is entering runway 02 for departure on the beach for. Course will be turning right, heading on course direct beach. departing the field for Hilo for Kahului traffic. Alright, so we don't have the guy on final yet. Alright. Takeoff power is set. Speed is alive. 60 knots. And we're rotating right off the field. Alright, let's just fly a runway heading. Pick up a little speed, of course. Now the cool thing about this is if we go autopilot, we can pretty much just hit nav and IIS climb. There we go. And now the aircraft should follow the flight plan. We should get ready to do our turn here in a minute, so that's nice. Honolulu traffic number 350 Kilo Tango is clear of runway 02 climbing beach 4. Up to 10,000 for Kahului traffic. Alright, so we got pretty in tune. No need to hand fly yet if we don't have to. We got more of that coming on our descent, of course. You guys know how that works, but we are essentially up and rolling. Let's get up and get those taxi lights off. And of course, we're always forgetting something, so let's do that now. We're going to set our timer, we'll add some time, and we need to get our transponder on. Shame on us. Alright, 2,500 feet climbing. Alright, still climbing, getting a little bit of that chop. So now I'm gonna look. We are on course now, but I'm glad we're not directly lined up with that. Now we're going to be going direct beach, but that should be slightly off the path of where this other aircraft is coming now that I'm thinking about it. Alright, we're still climbing here. Let me see if I can check the scope out and see exactly where he is at. Okay, essentially as it stands now, off our right wing, or off the first officer side, we should have had a visual on him. Of course, it's a little bit delayed on VATSIM. But where he's at, he might already passed us. And I don't hear any more of his announcements, so we'll see if we ever get a visual on him. Let's go back to the cabin really quick and see if we can see anything back there. Which we can't. So, hopefully we don't intercept him in a bad way, the tragic way. Alright, so I don't know where he's at. Hopefully he's got me on TCAS. As you guys see, we're working with no TCAS here. We're barely working with an airplane, if you see how antiquated the systems are, but they still get us to where we need to go. A little bit more work in involved. I'm just literally keeping an eye out for this guy. Nose is up, so it's going to be hard to do that. See if we can sit up any higher and get anything out the front. I honestly think we're good to go. Coming up on 6,000. Let's go ahead and take a look at our fuel now. We've got about 4 and 4. So we've got about 800 pounds of fuel. We are truly living on the edge. That might leave us only with 300 pounds of fuel left.
Kahului traffic, Hawaiian 41 is turning inbound, direct to camp for the island runway 02, Kahului.
Alright, so he's turning inbound to camps now. About 3,000 more to go. All right. Climbing up in a little bit of turbulent wind, or turbulent air, I should say. Hopefully it'll smooth out here in a second. That beautiful shoreline down there. Alright, continuing to climb. Before we get to our top of climb, I do want to go ahead and put in the traffic or the weather information. Alright. Here we go. And drum roll. Alright, so winds are calm. And altimeter is 299er. And 10 miles of visibility, VFR conditions. So we could pretty much use that to plan our landing. If you look at the other wind readings, it's out of the east. So it probably would be wise for us to also try to land east, even though the winds are calm, just to be on the safe side. 8,000. Doing good on the climb still. So let me take a look at the landing for Honolulu. Alright, haven't reached 9,000 yet. Got to keep an eye on that so I can hit that altitude button. Alright, 8,500. So here's the deal. I remember last time we did 8 right. But it's landing east. And I think essentially we're going to come down here this time to, because this aircraft's going to be shut off. They're going to have to catch a bus. So I think we're potentially can land on 4 left. RNAV 4 left, ILS 4 right. And actually, you know what? We'll just take the ILS 4 right. Set it up that way. Let me see where we're at on our climb. About 1,000 to go. So we are most certainly going to try for ILS 4 right.
Kahului traffic, Hawaiian 41, fully established ILS runway 02, 8 miles, Kahului.
Alright, he's doing an ILS, visual day, but ILS is a safe way to play it. Looks like we've got an arc approach. Alright, I'm just taking a look here. At our approaches, we said we're going to do the ILS, or at least set it up. 4 right. Alright, I'm watching that altitude from Alana. Alright, so this is going to be pretty sweet. It's going to be right in, so we're going to do 4 right. Just going to wait for us to get up to this turbulent. You can see the altitude alert was activated at 9,000 feet. Alright, let's get ready to click on the button. Alright, here we go, folks. See if we can get it right at the 10,000. Alright, pretty much pushed it in, even though the aircraft was jumping around. You can see we're leveling out there. Let's pull the condition lever slack slightly. Alright. Now we've got level flight. Now we're going to load a procedure, of course. So let's do that. So we're going to come over here to flight plan, and we're going to hit procedure. And we're going to put that we want to manipulate our approach. And we'll just do this aircraft. We don't have anything on board to do a Zulu, so we're going to do the ILS 04 right Yankee. We're going to enter that, and we're going to do the initial approach
Kahului
fix
traffic, Hawaiian
on
41
Alana.
short final, runway 2, Kahului.
And we'll load that. So now let's see what that looks like in our flight plan. Julie, LNY, Grammy, Sibo, Jewel, Alana. So that's the cool thing. And then if we click on this, the approach goes right from Alana. So then we'll do direct there, and we're coming all the way in. Again, even if I have to manually do this approach, it's fine with me. I'll have a visual representation of what I need to do. So right now we just stay on course. Now the tricky part is going to be, where do we need to descend? First of all, let's square up the course heading. You guys know I like to have that all squared up. So now that's squared up, even though we're doing some turbulent bouncing around. So on our approach, ILS Y4 right, first of all we got to get the correct, so let's look at this now that we're stable level flight. So now we're going to come in from Alana, and this is what we call an arc. So essentially you got to follow this curve, which takes some skill set to do. A lot of the times I just let the aircraft fly it from the FMC or the GPS, but we can do ourselves. We can stay on this line if we want to. Primarily what I'm looking at is where we need to be. So it's saying at this point we can start descending 3,000 here, but I essentially want to figure out, and that's for this goo. Okay, now on the arrival, which is the Joule 5, let's see if it gives us some. You can see here we're heading towards the Lanai, VOR, L and Y. So at Joule we need to be at least below 14,000, which we are. So there's Alana. Alright, so he made it down. I would have some pilot banter. But he's just now doing it for that traffic. So, goo is exactly where we're going to plan at being 3,000. So we're going to use goo for our VNAV. to know how long we can stay bouncing up here. So let's go back over here and do our VNav. And we said, yep, we need to be 3,000, so that's cool with me. And let's go ahead and change this situation. We got a lot to go through. Yep, goo. So Alana, so it won't quite give us that. Doesn't give us yep, goo, because we haven't activated that approach yet. So I don't want to activate it yet. So that's to Alana at 3,000 feet. So there's 13. So, you know, from Alana, let's plan on being let's see, it's 13.9 nauticals on that arc from Alana. Once we get there, which is the initial approach fix, and we start descending 3,000. So we'll say we'll be at 4,000. Okay, 4,000 feet MSL at Alana. If we said before, then this would essentially have some nautical miles of some sort there. But that's not what we're saying. We're saying that we want it at. So essentially we got 17 minutes before we begin our descent. Alright, cruising right along. And I think we're just going to leave. We're right at 10,000 feet. The altimeter at Honolulu is 299er. So let's fix that up. If we can. She's bouncing around quite a bit. Alright, let's give me a headache. So that looks close enough, folks. Alright, so we are most certainly cruising. And I'm going to turn the aircraft back over to you, because as you guys see, we only have 16 minutes until it's time to descend. So let's just go back and double check the cabin is secure. Cabin looks good. And actually, maybe I'll have you guys sit in the back. That's too dangerous. We better sit. We better have you guys in the front here. As always, we are going to take a look at. We got 16 minutes, so you guys are in charge once again, leaving the shoreline of Maui, and we'll be continuing our journey onto Honolulu. Alright, leaving you guys in charge. You guys did a great job on the last leg. So I'm going to leave you guys in charge again, and we'll be back with you guys shortly, within about 15 minutes. So once again, do what you did last time. Keep the aircraft level and straight, and we'll be back in no time. In no time. Alright folks, as you can see, we are reeling it in. You guys have done a great job of being first officers. We will be descending in 1 minute and 18 seconds. Of course, this will be a manual descent. We're going to try to get it down to 1,800 feet, of course. So, having said that, we'll just continue straight on course here. Yeah, we'll do about the 20 nautical mile range out. Then all we have to do again to look at our VNav is right here. So now it's saying descend to target, of course. Alright, so what that means for us is let's square up the heading. That way we have a visual reference and we can go autopilot off. As soon as we stop down here, let's sim problems. Alright, it's bouncing around, but there we go. Alright, down we go. We're going to go ahead and use our pitch again, our trims, to do our descent so we can keep the aircraft as level as possible. Coming back on the power. Overspeeding there. Trims went way down. Alright, nothing like manual descents here. We're going all the way down to 3,000 feet. Alright, we already have that altimeter set. Alright, we're already about 8,000 feet. Let's trim up really quick. The aircraft bounces around sometimes and gives itself more of a descent than I asked for. Okay, now that the aircraft is descending, I'm going to go ahead and do a direct here in a second. Aircraft is doing a great job pretty much of staying on course. We are below 10,000 feet, so let's come up here of course and make sure our landing lights, oh, we had them on the whole time anyway. Alright, getting rid of some of that chop. And we'll see if we can get down to our altitude, of course. Slightly off course. Let's turn back. Straighten her up. Alright, let's go up top really quick. Just make sure our taxi light is going to be on as well. And let's make sure our stab ice and all that is, let's see, outer wing, left stab. Let's do intake anti-ice. Let's go back and check ourselves out. Alright, we're at about 4,000. Let's pitch back up. Now we can start pitching up, of course. Now one thing we can do is we can come over here to the flight plan and we can essentially, oops, we don't want to do that. We want to basically go direct here and activate it. And then now we can do our autopilot back on and do nav. And we should essentially, we're almost down to 3,000. We lost quite a bit of speed. Let's do Alt and Nav. Alright, so we're slightly higher than we want to be, but we should be on course on this arc, which we are. So that's the whole reason we kind of wanted to make that happen. We almost, you know, drastically lost some speed there. We're about 600 feet above where we need to be, so I am going to have to pitch the aircraft down. I already know it's going to go off of autopilot, but we've got to watch that. Got to kind of stay on this arc. It's a tricky thing. Honolulu traffic, number 350 Kilo Tango is on the ILS Yankee 04 right approach. Expecting full stop, currently direct to on the base turn on the arc, and once we turn to final, we will make an announcement for Honolulu traffic. Alright, so we still need to go down. Aircraft was bouncing around, so let's we're still kind of managing our arc approach, as you can see there. I just need to drop some altitude. So we get to about 3,000 feet, then we can essentially hit the nav button and the alt button. Okay, so now let's engage, hit alt, and now hit the nav button. And now we are essentially back on track. We might hook left a little bit and hook right, but we were not off track like that. Then once we make our turn to the next waypoint, let me see what that's going to be. So at Yep Goo, alright, so Yep Goo 3000, which we are currently at, and then we want the next waypoint is going to be 2000 at DeBry. So we are slowly but surely maintaining our altitude as we should. Passing through these Sharmans. And you can see, should be the fields over there. There you go. See some hangars. So we'll be making our turn here shortly. And then it'll be down to 2,000 feet on course. Our final course heading is 42. So before we make that turn, let's get on to heading 42. So 42 is about right there. Alright, we've got our turn coming up here. Aircraft should start turning here any moment. Let's get this range pushed out. Leave it about right here. So about 7 seconds, it'll be right to heading 43. There we go. Alright, now we are making our turn. Honolulu traffic number 350 Kilo Tango is turning on final, passing Yep Goo full stop, runway 04 right for Honolulu traffic. Alright, so now, once we straighten up, there's 4 right. So now we can pretty much go ahead and take the autopilot off and begin, let's see, our landing lights are on. Let's get these conditioners all the way up. And let's go ahead and take her in. Autopilot is off. Our bird. Alright, we'll start working our way down to that 2,000 mark now. Good day, good visual day. It's 2,400 feet. As we get a little closer, we'll start thinking about flaps, of course. Alright, so we should be about 2,000 at this next point, which we're doing a pretty good job of doing that. Since we're hand flying her. At Pearly, we should be at 1,500 feet. So there still will be a slight crosswind coming off our right wing. The winds are out of 70 degrees last time we checked. Traffic, number 35 Circle Tango on final, passing DeBry for runway 04 right, full stop, Honolulu traffic. Alright, let's go ahead and drop her down to 1,500 feet. Alright. Where she's going to get floaty. We'll introduce some more flaps here in a second. Alright, I think that's all we're doing for flaps today. Alright, let's achieve that 1,500. Mind us, just another hand flying day. Alright, let's get that 1,500. We are about to pass that next waypoint. Honolulu traffic, number 350 Kilo Tango, 5 mile final, full stop, runway 04 right for Honolulu traffic. Alright, now we have essentially passed our last point. As you can see, we are directly lined up and on our way in. All hand flying, folks. Touchdown elevation is 9 feet. Aircraft's on a nice stable approach. Getting ready to come up right on 1,000 feet. Pull that power back slightly. Alright, you can see we're back on the glide slope. One white, one red. Ooh, little stutter. And you can see we're just going to get off the taxiway, the runway, and get on the taxiway. We're going right to that ramp right there to the right. So that's another reason why we chose this runway. Right above stall speed there, if you look at our speed. Right at about 70 knots or so, 75 knots. Nice stable approach. Just throwing a little more power, keep that nose up. Right above stall speed, folks. Plenty of runway to work with. Start working on our flare. All right. Not bad at all, folks. All right, wheel brakes are coming on. All right. Flaps are coming up. Honolulu traffic, number 350 Kilo Tango clear of runway 04 right on Delta. We'll be pulling into the ramp via Charlie for Honolulu traffic. Alright, let's get that strobe off. Make sure our landing lights are still turned off as well. There we go. Alright, right over as we go. Just a bunch of the cargo area there. And I want to thank you guys for flying along on these 2 legs today, of course. It's always something interesting as we take these different aircraft, which I don't always rehearse on. I fly them and then come back to them and then figure it out again. So you really wouldn't want to do that in real life. You definitely train on the same aircraft or whatever the case may be. But it's a sim world. We get to do that. I enjoy having you guys on board who are able to help me some of the procedures and take over the first officer's seat when I decide to go to the back and kick my feet up. Alright, you can see some aircraft over there. Got FedEx over there. It's going to keep coming over here to the south ramp, and then we're going to get some transportation services over here. Very enjoyable to hand fly every now and then instead of using the autopilot. I mean, I always hand fly on takeoff and landing and try to do as much as possible, but when you're flying in one of those airliners and stuff, autopilot is what enables you to do single pilot operations in this world that where you really need a separate co-pilot. Alright, we're just going to come in. Right over here. Way hangar services. You can see downtown shot. We'll get the people's transportation situated over here. Alright. Premature stop there. Alright, parking brake is most certainly set. Now let's go and get our transponder off. Actually, yeah, we can turn it all the way off now. No need to have it in standby. We can also turn our comms off. This is the last flight of the day for this aircraft. Alright, now we can go up top. And let's get both of our ignitions off. We don't need that on. And let's see, taxi light can go to off. Strobe is off. And we'll leave this position on. We can turn the nose. Well, there's no smoking, should always stay on. But we'll turn it off. The aircraft's about to turn off. Let's get this anti-icing situation to the off position. And prop de-ice, intake de-ice, all that good stuff can come off. So up top's looking good, so let's shut her down. Alright. We'll wait for those to expire, of course. Now we can get our anti-collision off. And we'll leave the nav on really quick while the passengers disembark. We can get our bleeds off, which we should got off. Let's get our general entrance lights off. And we can disarm the emergency stuff there. And as you can see, we can now we can definitely open this door here. We'll get the battery off in a second. We're not too concerned about the battery now because we're where we need to be. So if they need to come out with some ground power. And as you see, we have arrived here to the Honolulu area once again. You guys are awesome for flying along. Let's go ahead and check out the replays and call it a day. Couldn't do this without you guys. You guys are perfect. First officers, passengers, look forward to seeing you guys on the next flight to our another long haul to get out of the Hawaiian Islands to start getting into some real flying in Asia and everywhere on that. Start hitting it from the eastern shore over there. So let's get into the replay. Until then, we'll see you guys next time here on Dre Sanchez's YouTube channel, aka the Motivated Sim Pilot. Thanks for riding along, folks.